The movie starts with a girl playing around with a piece of paper. She folds it, rolls it, and then sets it on fire with a lighter. Then, we see her sitting in a messy room full of broken chairs, looking bored while chewing gum. Later, she's shown lying in a car and smoking on the rooftop of a hotel. It seems like she is disturbed and has nothing productive to do. Then, we see a man arriving at the hotel with some bags. The girl sees him and goes back inside. She's in the laundry room when the man checks in at the front desk. After a chat with the lady at the desk, the man, named Danny, pays up front for his stay. However, the lady offers him a deal. She tells him that he can do some work around the hotel instead of paying money if he ever needs to. After this, Danny goes to his room, but there's a surprise waiting for him. As soon as he enters, a police officer puts an ankle monitor on him. The officer tells Danny he has to stay in his room from 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. every day. If he breaks this rule, he'll go back to prison. After this, the police officer leaves, and Danny tells him to keep the door open. Next, we see the lady from the front desk and the girl from earlier eating together. It is revealed that they are mother and daughter. The girl is named Clara, and the lady is named Lawrence. Lawrence is a single mother who runs a hotel. Clara asks about Danny and him being in prison, and we learn that Clara's father is in prison too. Lawrence tells her that she is going to meet him on Monday, but she is not taking Clara with her. Clara hasn't met her dad for 3 months, and she becomes upset at this. At night, Clara waits in the parking lot and spots a man arriving and getting into a car. As he settles in, she approaches him and obtains some weed. Meanwhile, Danny observes this from his room's window. The next morning, while Danny is having breakfast, Clara enters and takes a seat at the table next to his. Seeing a pack of cigarettes in front of Danny, she requests one, but he remains silent, ignoring her. This frustrates Clara, prompting her to try to grab the pack, only to be stopped by Danny. As Clara leaves to assist Lawrence with the dishes, Lawrence engages in conversation with Danny, mentioning a job opportunity. She shows him a room plagued by water issues, and he agrees to tackle the task. In return, Lawrence pledges to waive 1 month's rent for his assistance. They proceed to purchase the necessary supplies, after which Danny sends Lawrence ahead and makes his way back to the hotel. Later, Clara finds herself once again in the parking lot when Danny shows up, disposing of some trash. Curious, Clara questions Danny about his silence toward her. She expresses a desire to join him for lunch, to which Danny reluctantly agrees under the condition that she remains quiet. During their lunch outing, Clara bombards Danny with questions, probing about his origins and whether he has been incarcerated. Clara proceeds to answer her inquiries, asserting that she knows he hails from Denmark and has a prison record. She confides in Danny about her father's incarceration, lamenting her inability to visit him due to her mother's reluctance. Feeling neglected, Clara questions the fairness of her mother's actions. In a tender moment, Danny consoles Clara, educating her about the challenges families face when a loved one is imprisoned and urging her not to pass judgment on her father. Clara shifts the conversation, inquiring about Danny's family, to which he reveals he does not have children, prompting Clara to delve further into the matter. Danny, noting Clara's curious questions, accuses her of breaching their agreement. Attempting to distract her, he demonstrates a magic trick involving a cigarette but ultimately refrains from executing it. Rising from the table, Danny engages the cashier, unwittingly leaving his beer bottle behind, which Clara opportunistically takes a few sips from. As they make their way back to the hotel, they traverse a vast open space with trees and a passing train providing background noise. During this, Clara's attention is captivated by a dog, and she tugs at Danny, urging him to observe. Despite Danny's warning that the dog won't allow her near, Clara approaches it, only to have the dog dart away. Puzzled, Clara asks Danny about the dog's behavior, to which he responds, "He doesn't trust you." Later, while Danny is engrossed in his work, Lawrence comes to talk to him. She reveals that Clara informed her about their lunch outing. Danny confirms this, explaining that Clara mentioned she was hungry. However, Lawrence cautions Danny about Clara's tendency to play games and advises him not to indulge her. Hearing this, Danny reassures her, asserting that he has no interest in young girls and prefers women his own age. After this, Lawrence insists on repaying him for the meal, but Danny declines, prompting Lawrence to express her aversion to being indebted to him. As night falls, we find Lawrence and Danny seated at the dining table, as Danny is savoring the meal prepared by Lawrence. Grateful for the hospitality, Danny inquires about settling the debt, but Lawrence brushes it off, stating that her gesture of cooking for him is her way of reciprocating the meal he provided for her daughter. Meanwhile, in Clara's room, she busies herself preparing and smoking a joint. Back at the dining table, Lawrence strikes up a conversation with Danny, revealing Clara's admiration for his father, whom she perceives as a hero. Danny reassures Lawrence, explaining that it's natural for children to idolize their parents. Danny mentions to Lawrence that Clara told him she can't visit her dad because her mother won't allow it. Lawrence agrees, explaining that prison isn't a suitable place for children, and reveals that Clara's father is due for release in a few months. However, Danny notices a lack of enthusiasm in Lawrence's tone and inquires further. Reluctantly, Lawrence discloses that Clara's father plans to leave her for a younger woman, a teacher he met through a prison program. Despite Lawrence's somber revelation, Danny lets out a small chuckle, prompting Lawrence to question his reaction. Danny apologizes, admitting that he's heard similar stories before. Understanding the sensitivity of the situation, Lawrence tells Danny not to disclose this information to Clara. The following day, Danny heads to the diner where he's spoken to a woman named Nadia about potential employment. Nadia leads him to the kitchen, where he's offered a job as a dishwasher due to their broken machine, necessitating hand washing. After donning the necessary attire, Danny dives into his work, scrubbing dishes, walls, and sinks diligently. Nadia brings him food, and they engage in light conversation, during which Danny reveals his name. Once Nadia departs, Danny proceeds to eat his meal before modifying his shoes to accommodate the ankle monitor. He then completes his tasks, including inspecting the broken dishwasher. As Danny arrives at the cafe, he spots Lawrence behind the bar and requests a beer. They engage in conversation over their drinks, but Danny soon notices the time approaching 7 p.m. on the clock. Realizing he's about to be late, he hastily bids farewell to Lawrence and rushes back to the hotel. When he gets back, he quickly picks up the phone call from his parole officer. He tells them he was late because it was his first day at his new job. However, the parole officer scolds him, saying he should have told them earlier to change his schedule. He warns him sternly that if he's late again, he'll go back to prison. Meanwhile, Clara is in the laundry room when her phone rings, revealing Lawrence on the other end. Lawrence informs Clara that she will be back late at night and advises her to eat and go to bed. After this, sensing Clara's concern about her father, Lawrence delivers the heartbreaking news and tells her that he won't be coming back, as he's chosen to leave them behind. This news shocks Clara, and she does not say anything to her mother about it. Meanwhile, passing by the laundry room, Danny overhears Clara's tearful conversation, prompting a sense of empathy within him. Danny is busy working in the room when Clara knocks on his door, but he doesn't respond. She then tries knocking on his window, but before Danny can react, the man who gave her weed earlier arrives in a car. Clara gets into the car with him, but things take a dark turn when he forces her into trying cocaine and assaults her. Meanwhile, Danny is enjoying a cup of coffee inside when he hears a scream pierce through the air. He rushes outside to find Clara running towards the hotel, pursued by the man. Just as the man catches up to her and she falls, Danny intervenes, only to have the assailant pull a gun on him. Unfazed, Danny stands his ground, causing the man to flee. Quickly, Danny rushes to Clara's side, placing her in the bathtub and helping her remove her sweater to warm her up. Sensing her shock and coldness, he urges her to stay awake as he showers her face with water. When Clara becomes agitated, Danny gently restrains her, assisting her in washing herself and offering comfort as she sobs. Afterward, Danny wraps her in a towel and guides her to a nearby room, where he offers her a cigarette and inquires about the identity of the assailant. However, Clara rebuffs his questions, insisting on being left alone as she curls up on the bed. Concerned for her safety, Danny tries to persuade her to leave, but Clara remains adamant, revealing her despair over her father's absence. Later, at dawn, Danny finds himself outside, puffing on a cigarette as the sun begins to rise. He then heads to work, where he attempts to repair the malfunctioning dishwasher. Despite his efforts, the dishwasher remains out of order, prompting Danny to resort to heating water manually to wash the dishes. However, he does not back off and persists in his efforts to fix the dishwasher and eventually succeeds. Meanwhile, at the hotel, Lawrence approaches Danny, expressing concern about Clara's condition. She reveals that Clara has bruises covering her body, which she attributed to a school fight, though Lawrence remains skeptical. Danny, however, claims not to have seen anything unusual. Suspicious of foul play, Lawrence suspects that Clara may have been assaulted, but Clara remains tight-lipped. Danny advises Lawrence to remain patient in her approach. The following day, while Danny is busy washing dishes using the repaired dishwasher at work, he catches sight of the man responsible for Clara's ordeal sitting at a table in the diner. Seizing the opportunity, Danny confronts the man as he leaves and delivers a severe beating as retribution for his actions. After rendering the man unconscious and leaving him in the passenger seat, Danny speeds off into the woods. He gets really mad and punches the car's roof in frustration. Exiting the vehicle, he discovers a bottle of flammable fuel in the trunk. With rage still coursing through him, Danny takes the tank and covers the man and the car in fuel, then retrieves his bloodied hoodie, saturating it with the remaining fuel. With trembling hands, he ignites the makeshift torch with his lighter before leaving it inside the car. Danny swiftly departs the scene, but unbeknownst to him, a homeless man witnesses this harrowing event. Returning to work, Danny is cleaning the gun when Nadia unexpectedly enters the kitchen, prompting him to hurriedly conceal the weapon. Nadia admonishes him for his absence before he retreats to wash and tend to his injured knuckles. Concealing the gun inside the dishwasher, Danny attempts to resume his duties. At the hotel, Lawrence arrives, visibly distressed, and informs Danny that the police had visited, inquiring about the man's death. Sensing Lawrence's anguish, Danny hesitates before reluctantly recounting what happened to Clara. Overwhelmed with emotion, Lawrence breaks down in tears, but Danny, honoring his promise to Clara, refrains from divulging the full truth. However, as Lawrence begins to piece together the events, her shock turns to anger, demanding to know why Danny didn't go to the authorities. Despite her fury, Danny manages to calm Lawrence down, pleading for her understanding in this tumultuous situation. The following day, Danny resumes his routine at work, but his day takes an unexpected turn when Clara arrives, clutching an HIV testing kit. Concerned, she asks if she can perform the test there, and Danny assists her through the process. Fortunately, the results come back negative, relieving Clara, and she embraces Danny before departing. In the following days, Danny carries on with his life, finding solace and distraction with Nadia. Meanwhile, conversations between Danny and Lawrence turn to Clara's father, with Lawrence expressing her newfound resentment towards him. However, tensions escalate when two menacing individuals, accompanied by the homeless witness, confront Danny at work. Recognizing him as the perpetrator behind the burning of their associate's drugs, the first man demands restitution. When Danny refuses, the second man resorts to violence, striking Danny. In a fit of self-defense, Danny retaliates, driving off the aggressors. Fearing further reprisals, Danny retrieves the hidden gun from the dishwasher and conceals it beneath a nearby dumpster near the hotel, hoping to keep it out of sight and out of reach. Later, Danny somberly informs Clara that he must leave, but their conversation is interrupted by the sound of a barking dog. Sensing danger, Danny urges Clara to seek shelter indoors. Suddenly, a masked assailant appears, firing shots at them. Swiftly, Danny grabs Clara and ushers her into the storeroom. With quick thinking, Danny cuts the power, plunging the hotel into darkness as the menacing figures of the masked men are seen on the hotel premises. While they are looking around the hotel, Danny seizes the opportunity to slip away, engaging in a tense pursuit with the men. Outside, another member of the group attempts to intercept Danny, but Danny gets rid of him. After this, Danny retrieves the hidden gun from the dumpster and turns the tables, fatally shooting one of the assailants. As the confrontation escalates, Danny finds himself locked in a brutal physical struggle with the remaining attacker. Danny resorts to biting his opponent's neck in a desperate bid for survival. In a final act of defiance, Danny gets his hands on the fallen assailant's gun. However, Clara intervenes, pleading for mercy and halting Danny's vengeful impulse. Seizing the opportunity, Danny flees into the night, shedding his ankle monitor in a symbolic act of liberation. With the help of Lawrence, Danny escapes, bidding her a heartfelt farewell as he disappears into the darkness. Meanwhile, Clara seeks solace and closure, finding comfort in the company of her father at the familiar Chinese diner, where she even manages to befriend the once unapproachable dog. This is where the movie ends.
Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you can watch more movies like this. Thanks for watching.